battle formations. This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die! Remember this day, man, for it will be yours for all time!
Sorcerers.
Lay down your weapons! Give them nothing, but take from them everything! Today!
What's going on, den folk, and I hope you guys liked that intro as much as I liked making it. I obviously don't do that very often, but I was like, you know, I just kind of wanted to make it a little more funny for this video, because I'm gonna give my complete and honest opinion on this, and I'm gonna be obviously bringing in different types of aspects from here, and just a different viewpoint. I will say my viewpoint on this acquisition is not as positive as some of the other people, other content creators may view it, but I will just give my full-on thoughts about this, and let's go through it real quick. So first off, let's look at this Barron's article over here. I'll have a link in the description down below, but basically we're going to go through the key top points. EA acquired Glue for $2.4 billion. EA lost to Take-Two Interactive in 2016 for another mobile game company they were trying to acquire. So this is kind of like their re-entry into that field of mobile, and they want to obviously come back from that loss in acquisition of another big mobile company. And Glue's estimated bookings for this year is estimated to be 555 million to 560 million for the year. And Glue's other games include Diner Dash, Kim Kardashian Hollywood, some sports titles in coveted fashion. And ironically, DSA is not their #1 ticket item, as some people may believe. It is it is starting to make money for them. Obviously, the game has, I believe it's one of the youngest ones out of all of Glue's titles, so that's why, you know, it's still trying to get ground. But we'll see what their earnings calls. I can't remember if it already came out or not, what the Q4 of last year looked like, but probably going to come up soon, especially with this acquisition. And the complete acquisition is going to take place, I believe, from this article to be June 2021. So we still have Glue in the sense of what we know it to be through June of 2021. Then we'll see what happens after that. So let's just take a third party perspective here and go outside the box real quick and look at some other companies in the past that have been acquired by bigger corporations. For instance, we're going to be looking at our Instagram and Venmo. So Facebook and PayPal respectively acquired these companies, and let's look at Facebook real quick. So Instagram, before Facebook acquired Instagram was a really cool app. You know, it's just you have your pictures and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. It was just kind of like very simple picture sharing and social aspect. Now it's become a complete marketplace. You can do a lot more things with it. I'm not a fan of the whole Instagram algorithm. It's become too much like Facebook, and it's definitely lost what it originally was supposed to be, which was just to share pictures and stuff. And I get it, you know, things have to adapt, they have to make money, so this is the way of doing it. But I would say the Facebook Instagram acquisition, it did give Instagram obviously a lot more stability and backing, but it also, I would say, kind of ruined the app to what it is today, and it's definitely not what it used to be. And it's, I don't like a lot of the people I know who use the app originally don't even really use the app anymore, and it's just become this, it's just a marketplace now for business, basically. That's how I see it. I don't see it as a social media app like it used to be anymore. Of course, it's still under that category, but it's definitely not what it used to be. Now looking at PayPal and Venmo, this is a really good example of a really good acquisition. So PayPal knew, Venmo, and same with Facebook, they knew if they did not acquire Venmo, they were going to possibly, at least in the more, you know, consumer person to person, not business to business, but person to person type of scenario, they were going to lose a lot of clientele that way. So they decided, let's acquire Venmo And what they do to Venmo actually made it a lot better. I would say it made it more stable. They bypassed a lot of things, and they were able to expedite and be a much better company after that. So with that said, I think it was a great acquisition for PayPal to acquire Venmo, and it made Venmo a much better company because of it. And I have it's obviously it's just transaction of funds from person to person, and there's other apps like their Cash App and of course Zelle for more bank to bank type of stuff. But that's a whole different story. It doesn't have exactly to do anything with gaming, but these are real life examples of what happens at acquisitions. And I would say I like the PayPal acquisition of Venmo. I'm not a big fan of the Facebook acquisition of Instagram and what it's become. And of course, everyone has their own opinions, and you can do what you want with that. So moving on to EA's track record. So this is going to be much more hot topic that we're going to talk about here. So in terms of their bundles and how the game operated and stuff like that, not so happy on the Swaga side. There's been many mass purges from the game. Luckily we haven't had that yet in DSA, but in terms of mods, raids, relics, and community support, EA Capital Games has definitely lagged on this. In terms of raids, so they came out with their first raid. The game came out in November of 2015. Their first raid came out in April of 2016. Their second raid came out in October of 2016, and their third raid came out in sometime, I believe, in Q2 of 2018. So they literally went almost a year and a half without raids, and that was, I believe the game kind of got dull at that point a little bit, if I'm correct. But also when they brought in raids, it was a mass exodus of people because of just how it messed around with the clubs and guilds and stuff like that. And actually DSA kind of had a little bit of that with Forbidden Depths. Whenever something big happens in the games, there's always going to be some type of turmoil. But in terms of the other things that are in the game, mods and relics, if you guys are struggling with stones in DSA, mods and relics are far more advanced and much more difficult and much more, let's just say, pay to win to get. And in terms of community support, from my understanding, Swaga doesn't even have an official Discord, and I don't believe they even have an official Twitter account. So in terms of the community support and community communication, there's not much of it. So it's a lot more community driven, community based stuff, which is kind of cool. That's why that Swaga community is just so large and strong, is because it's all community driven, actually not too much interference from the developers themselves. Now, Swaga as a game in total, graphically, no comparison to DSA, in my opinion. You cannot tell me with a straight face that Swaga has far better graphics than DSA. So when Galactic Legends also came to the game, guys, that also threw off a lot of people, because Galactic Legends, just to put in perspective, let's just say there was a more advanced modification system in DSA. In order to get, let's just say, one of them, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, for instance, you would need, I guess you could say, Elsa and Baymax. You would need them like 5 max stones, and you would need them, maxed out gear tier and everything like that. It's just everything above and beyond. And that's probably even shortcutting it, to be honest, in comparison, because there's really no direct comparison between our modification system in DSA and Swaga's, and that's my fear, is that eventually one day they may come into DSA in some shape or form. In terms of the in-game mechanics, it's far more advanced, and I could definitely see EA wanting to implement that type of stuff in DSA. Now, moving on to another topic of discussion here, Battlefront 2. The initial disaster of that game was abysmal. I mean, the community faith in EA was completely lost, and they had to actually take out everything that was like loot boxes and stuff like that, and it took about a year and a half or so for them to gain trust in the community. And now they know the game is beloved by the community, and they've, ironically, in a very EA fashion, decided to stop supporting the game. So that was unfortunate, but I'm not surprised at the same time. And they also have loot boxes, obviously, in their Madden, FIFA games, and it's really big over there as well. And they've really been able to capitalize on that, and it's it's made them lots of money, let's just say that. So I would see something more along the lines of that possibly coming into DSA with this acquisition. I will say though, there are some good things about EA. They have test accounts that they gave to content creators that were now, I believe, taken away. So yes, at one point they were actually giving out test accounts to players, content creators specifically, and testing out characters and stuff and seeing how they worked, and obviously make content on them. But I believe now they've taken them away, so in a very EA fashion, if I could say that. And lastly here, Fallen Order and Squadrons were great games for consoles and PC, obviously, and but that's a different realm. You know, those are more standalone titles that have nothing to do with mobile or any complete monopolization of the game itself. My overall thoughts on this is I am happy in the sense that yes, Glue will be able to use EA's marketing schemes and whatnot and be able to get the game out there and get, you know, more player base. But I'm also very scared about the possibilities that EA could bring into this game, because let's be honest, you get acquired, you have to do what the boss says, and what the boss says goes. And I'm very, very cautiously concerned about this game and the future of it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised that once EA gets their hands into this game that there might be max exoduses from the game. And if we see the type of content quality that we're seeing from CG, I mean, if you guys don't know, Capital Games for Swaga has been, they've like disappeared, like they've been abducted by aliens and they haven't been back this entire 2021 for the game. I think they gave us the armor and that was about it. I don't even remember if the armor came out in January or if it came out in late December, but basically they've been AFK for a long time since then. And for a mobile game, for instance DSA, where we're used to weekly updates, for them to like maybe miss an update would be bad. For them to miss several updates would be terrible. So I'm not saying obviously it's going to happen with Glue and everything like that, because of course Glue is still separate in terms of, you know, being under the EA umbrella, but it is some type of concern. You know, you never know, there could be internal problems where people will leave Glue because of the acquisition, if there's any turmoil with how EA wants to run the business. And I would really be sad about that, because just quality and the just attention to detail that the animators of this game have is not comparable, in my opinion, to the other mobile games. So guys, let me know what your final thoughts are on this down below, and I'd love to have a discussion with you guys down in the comment section. You know, if you guys didn't like that my overall tone and everything was obviously not as positive as other people, and a little bit more, you know, down to earth and maybe even borderline negative, then I apologize for that, but that's just literally how I see it. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys what I see in this game with the future. Knowing what EA is capable of, I will say EA is on a bit of an uptick in terms of pleasing the community with their other games out there, but at least in the Star Wars realm. But I can't say that for certain they're going to be like that forever. So anyways guys, thank you so much. If you guys liked it, definitely hit the subscribe button down below and hit the like button as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.